lipo hadi viongozi wetu watakapoondoka. Niombe kutangaza kuondoka uwanjani.
Well, indeed, it has been several months of planning, various weeks of intense preparation. The second edition of the Madaraka Day celebrations have concluded here at the Raila Odinga Stadium in Homa Bay County. As you can see behind me now, it's a flurry of activity. Most of the people who had attended are now making their way out of the stadium. I remember this is an event that a lot of people are waiting for, celebrations that was being awaited for by hundreds of residents of Homa Bay County who had made their way into the stadium from 9 p.m. on Saturday. And right now we can see a lot of empty chairs because most of them sort of like fell off after the celebrations because maybe they were exhausted after waiting or sitting down for a lot of hours. But then it might have been a day's affair for the nation in terms of looking at the celebrations. But then for residents of Homa Bay County, this is just part of what they had in store, because tomorrow there will be the Mashemeji Derby here at the Raila Odinga Stadium, where the former Prime Minister will be attending, the county governor, and we are told possibly the president might also be attending that game, because it will be the first time that the derby is held in Homa Bay County. Therefore, it's quite a momentous occasion. We are seeing a lot of activities, you know, people sort of like toning down from how they were in the morning. But then a lot of them that we spoke to are saying that they hope that the national and county governments will continue with that close collaboration to ensure that all the development projects that have been lined up are implemented in due course. You know, like they said, the ultimate goal for them is to have money in their pockets. Economic empowerment is the ultimate goal. But then to hear the nitty-gritties, you know, of what really happened and dissecting the speeches from the various dignitaries, let us cross over to Emmanuel Toh. Toh, what can you tell us about the event today generally?
Well, thank you very much, Laura. Definitely, it has been an eventful day. I'm also with your Citizen TV, first of all, because this is Homa Bay County and President Ruto has ended it in that note, speaking in the Luo language, the Luopian language, where he has said that waonge wasi wasi. He's saying that the broad-based government is formally or actually in check. And I'm here with Stephen Letoo, Seth Olale here. Letoo, first of all, what do you make of the president's speech, especially in terms of the apology that he made about the Gen Zs?
I mean, indeed, first of all, it was a very, very, very long speech. It's one of the longest speeches since he took over the reins of power. And we've seen him speaking a lot, of course, around several other areas, including the issues of some policy changes from the, you know, the Social Health Authority, SHA, to even going all the way to the affordable housing, where there's some policy changes coming on form. The SHA, him saying again that SHA is working, and of course we were waiting to hear from the president whether he will take you from ODM leader Raila Odinga to, you know, progress his apology and, you know, say that is there compensation that will be issued to families that got affected during last year's debts that arose from the finance bill 2024-2025, and so it was generally a speech that brought on board very many things with really several policy changes on board.
Definitely, Seth Olale here, of course. The president has not taken cue, as Letoo says, like he did last time when he was cornered. Was he cornered or not during the prayer breakfast, where he was told to apologize and he apologized. But today he's been told to take that apology to another level of compensation, but he hasn't taken it. What do you make of it?
Maybe it tells you of the debrief, you know, ahead of today's Madaraka Day celebrations. Basically, they were together. We saw the Odingas and, you know, the Rutos. We saw that particular photos, and also the Kindikis just before they came here. And maybe it was not part of the agenda, if you ask me, because the president gave it a wide berth. And you know, this may be where he comes from as the head of state. Maybe he wants to set the agenda, not tag along the agenda. Remember how it came during the national prayer breakfast. It was an agenda set by Reverend Rick Broadley, and so this time maybe the president thought, I'm not speaking on behalf of the president, but perhaps the head of state would want perhaps that particular initiative to maybe comes from him. But apart from that, he's talked so much about development here in Homa Bay County and what he needs to do to extend what has happened in Homa Bay to the broader country. And that is why they're using the agenda, broad-based agenda, stating that their main concern basically is development. He's mentioned, how this is working out, and this has been perceived really as a test for the broad-based arrangement, in this particular national platform.
Yeah, Seth. So, Letoo, the president also is launching this thing in a broad-based region. Would you say that?
Of course.
And he has said it, has put it in Luo language.
Yeah, of course. If you read between the lips of the president today, he was basically dangling carrots into the, what you'll call broad-based strongholds, where he was today in Homa Bay, trying also to bring on board the larger, Migori, basically the larger ODM constituency, to firmly and cement their relationship. And you had Professor Kithure Kindiki, the deputy president, speaking about forging a partnership together. What is this partnership together that the deputy president is alluding to? Is it a possible coalition running into the 2027 general election? As simple as a memorandum of understanding, because we see ODM is strongly partly in government, and you've seen there members of the executive, coming in as members of the cabinet. John Badi, Opiyo Wandayi, a school from Turkana.
We have a CS from this country.
Absolutely. The CS for Treasury. But most importantly also, is what the president today announced, a return of the Kazi Mtaani, whereby 100,000 youth are basically going into or going back to the Kazi Mtaani, a project that was under President Uhuru, the former president or retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration, where more than 100,000 youth are engaged in Kazi Mtaani, and they get their stipends at every end of the week.
You actually mentioned to me a while ago that you're also a beneficiary of Kazi Mtaani at some point.
I should have been one nishike jembe, but visibly during the Kazi Mtaani time, you could see the youth doing some works along the roads. You could see the youth doing cleanup. But you see, even as the president announces a return of the Kazi Mtaani, we've been covering what we're now calling as the budget making process. We have not yet seen an allocation in the current 2025-2026 financial year budget allocating money to cater for the Kazi Mtaani. So is it just a promise by the president today, or it is something that we are going to see into the supplementary one under the 2025-2026 financial year?
Definitely, it will be something that we'll be waiting to see. But as we continue to speak, the dignitaries are leaving. They're going to the new refurbished state lodge. They actually, I don't know if it is the 14th state lodge that has just come up after the other ones in this region. Setolale, what do you make of the reception that the president has received today? Because we were here up to midnight last night, and the stadium was packed by 10 p.m.
Do you remember that statement from that local yesterday at night at midnight? He said in his words that since he was born, he has never seen such a thing, and this is a miracle come true. So it just tells you the kind of reception, and that is why today is the fourth time the president is in Homa Bay in a span of 1 week, in a week's time. So it tells you already the reception is so warm. The residents here have warmed up to the president, and you saw what the president did yesterday. He came and did a road show alone, without, we're used to him side by side with the Azimio leader, that is,
Raila
Odinga. But this time he came all alone because he knows that, the residents of Homa Bay County have kind of liked, his leadership style and, the unity agenda. They seem to have embraced it.
Yes. So, Letoo, I know you want to speak about this, about the reception of the president, but what does this reception in this county mean for the broad-based government and for President William Ruto going forward from here now?
I mean, from here, it's of course it's a test. It's a test road for the broad-based government arrangement. Of course, you've seen Raila Odinga trying to, make himself stick to the memorandum of understanding that was signed, whereby one of the key issues was compensation to the families that lost their loved ones during the Gen Z protest, and that is why what we saw him insist here, because they say that they want to stick to the 10-point agenda, and they deviated so heavily on the re-election bid. But all this reception that you see here, the developments and development carrots that are being dangled to this region, clearly shows you that there is a sort of a plan and a narrative to try and fully woo this region to firmly back the broad-based government arrangement.
Yeah, you talk about the carrots, the dangling of carrots, and one of the carrots that is being taken away from the members of parliament, the National Assembly, is the carrot of the NGCDF. Most of them receive this, but Raila Odinga said that they need to stick to their 3 primary roles: oversight, legislation, presentation. How does it feel? Because I know you speak to these MPs. What is their feeling, especially those in the Raila's backyard? How do they feel that Raila Odinga is not supporting them?
I mean, for me, the CDF, the NGCDF issue is still a broader and a wild chase and a wild goose chase, because still we have what we will call an amendment that has been proposed, and members of parliament are going across on public participation. So it's something that is still being cooked upon. But one thing that I heard also Raila Odinga mentioning that could cause even a stiff and a standoff in the coming days is the division of revenue to counties, where memorandum that counties must be given 450 billion shillings. But look at the 2025-2026 financial year budget. Counties have been allocated only 405 billion shillings. That means that there is a shortfall of 45 billion shillings. And when John Badi appeared and PS Dr. Kipto appeared before the Budget and Appropriation Committee, they sort of brought a narrative that we are under-collecting as a country, and some votes are even lacking funding, including national examinations.
Yeah. So Seth, maybe Seth, before you come in, because I know there's a lot that we want to speak about, but the time is really, we are running out of time. But Seth, I want you to explain to us, William Ruto read something that excited the masses here. He said 3 words. I want you to repeat them and explain to us what they meant. You come from this county, Seth.
Yes, I come from the humble Lambwe Valley, also called Olambwe, and it's at that particular point where I started life, walking barefoot, going to Ogongo.
And you hosted us today.
And I hosted, the mighty delegation of Road Media Services in my 16-bedroom palatial home.
That is debatable.
What the president said is one wachuado mana teach.
One wachuado
mana teach. Yeah, that means that as our business is to work. In Swahili it says sisi tunachapa tu kazi.
Yeah. Next.
Bila wasiwasi. So Hinda's song. Yeah, Prince Hinda is a sensation, Luo artist here in this particular region. And so for him, and remember how the president ended his speech in those Luo remarks, that one wachuado mana teach, one waonge wasiwasi. Raila Odinga, when he was handing over the mic to the president, he also made a similar, remark, stating that Joturwa one wangeo kumwauok to kamawadi. Yeah, so
I understand some Luo. Does it mean we know where we come from and where we're going?
Yes. That's it.
I'm a Luopian. Let me go to...
Maybe so, you're a bachelor, and, Homa Bay County is full of, very, very beautiful and able,
Emmanuel To anasema mbono tuandike kwa mate ilhani wino upo. Na wino ni taarifa zetu za saa 1 na saa 3, ambapo tutapromoshia yote ambayo yamefanyika hapa uwanjani kutoka jana usiku hadi hivi sasa tunakaporejea kwenye matangazo yetu ya kila siku. And so we take you back to our normal programming.
Amen.
Thank you.